power over our tongue, filled by the Spirit. It says when the day of Pentecost came, it said they were filled with the Holy Spirit. They were filled with the Spirit. Man, it was that process. It wasn't an instantaneous. It was because they prayed and they waited on God in the upper room. How many people know that sometimes you have to wait on God? Man, I'm so thankful for fast food, for good fast food. But guess what? God is not good fast food. God is a gourmet God. God gives you the good. You know what I'm saying? And the good takes a while. It's a process. It's not an instantaneous microwavable thing. Now, he can do that. He has done it. I've seen him do it. Do it now. He does it. But the idea is it's a process in our heart. It's the thing he's working on in our lives. Even if we meet him and have a powerful encounter at the altar, how are you living the next day? It's a process. It's that thing where you have to wait and pray on God. That's what they were doing in the upper room. Man, I think about youth camp. Our youth are going to camp this week. Man, I'm praying for them to encounter the Holy Spirit this week. Man, I was at camp. I told a friend this last week at the altar. Man, I was at camp. To be filled with the Spirit, it took me a process, man. I was too analytical. I was trying to think about, well, how does it work? And the Holy Spirit comes, and then he moves my mouth, and I don't understand. And what am I supposed to do? Anybody else? Too analytical, man. I was wrapped up in my own head and this other thing. And it was a process. And then you have the other thing happening where people are like, man, you just got to hold on to God. And the other person's like, you just got to let go. And you're like, I'm super confused. And there's a person trying to push you down. And I'm like, how about you stop pushing me? If they would have let go of their hand from pushing me, I was leaning forward. I was like one of those ski people. I was like, not pushing me down. I was like one of those Boppo clowns. I was like, I'm coming back. If they would have let go, I would have been like, ugh. And they'd be like, he's slain. I'm sorry, I'm a church kid, I'm sorry. But here's the thing. All that being said, the power of the Holy Spirit is what it's about. It's shown by the speaking other tongues, but it's about the power to live for God. In as much as, man, I love whenever people are overcome by the power of God and they fall out in the power of God. I love that. Because it shows that God is overcoming their circumstances and their senses, and they can't shut it off. You just like, boop, and they just, you chill for a little bit, okay? It's that. And see, that's the thing that's amazing about this. That's what I'm praying for our students this week. Man, I remember I went for the first night, and it didn't happen. The second night, it didn't happen. And the third night, it didn't happen. We had 4 nights of camp, and I went to 4 night. And the 4th night, and I was like crying. I was like, I'm not worth it. Ah! And God's like, what are you doing? And I had to get it that it wasn't about that at all. It was about focusing on more of him. It's focusing on less of me and more of God. And whenever it was done that, whenever it was less of me and more of him, then it just happened. And he just poured his Spirit out upon me and began to speak in other tongues. And it was just a moment with me and him. And it didn't have to do with this or that or all the things that I had made it up in my head. Man, it was none of that. It was just me and God. And you're filled to overflowing. See, that's what being baptized in the Holy Spirit is, being filled to overflowing. That's what it's about.